Let's move on to the best team in Utah.
Utah. Well, seeing as how there's only one team in Utah, should be pretty easy.
Hey, there are plenty of teams in Utah. They're just not professional.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, let's talk RSA LA. RSL currently in the mix for the playoffs in fifth place. Some key additions listed on the MLS website: Danny Musovsky, Diego Luna, Brian Ojeda, and Brian Oviedo, Everton legend. Well, Everton, Louise, and the Snake have left the club. Sorry, I get carried away with that. So here are the massive moves. I love Diego Luna. If you watched him play for El Paso, it is massive. It is a massive, massive signing because that guy would have gone straight from El Paso to a second division Spanish side or whatever. He would have been one of those moves. He's a fantastic little player, and he will be successful. Danny Masovsky gives them some depth up top. Um, Ojeda, their U22 signing on loan from Nottingham Forest, will give them some midfield depth, allow them uh, to attack a little bit better. And then Costa Rican international left back Brian Oviedo. Let me tell you, the fact that he was able to win Everton 3 points against Man United away in 2012 with an 88-minute volley into the bottom left corner against David De Gea in his prime makes him the top five left back of all time. Don't at me. Don't do it. It's just facts. So it's obviously a dub because Oviedo, right? Um,
Of course.
no, so the Luna was a great move. Musovsky, I think, gives depth. I don't think he'll be great, um, but it gives him depth. He was good at LAFC in a system. I don't think ours will have that same system. Um, losing Everton
They
Louise,
don't they don't need any more depth at striker. They have plenty of guys at striker already.
they do. I forgot that Anderson Julio came back permanently.
They
Uh,
also have Rubio Rubin, Cordova. Bobby Wood's
Cordova's on
hurt,
loan.
but
Cordova's on loan.
yeah, but he's still here for the season. And
Yep.
Musovsky isn't like we're gonna sign him for the future.
Well, he got traded from LAFC, so some. Um, Everton Louise transferred out. I think that hurts a little bit. I'm sure the Ojeda will fill that role a little bit, allowing players to be a little bit more creative. Jonathan Menendez on loan to Velez Sarsfield. And then David Ochoa over to DC United, which they didn't need him. He wasn't in the plans. I like it. I don't think it's a massive win, but I'm going to call it a win because Diego Luna's upside is massive. And Brian Oviedo.
Of course, Brian Oviedo. I'm calling this one a loss for me. Um, I think this team overperformed at the start of the season and has been kind of falling back to earth. And the rest of their schedule for the rest of the season is brutal. I just looked it up. They got Dallas, Minnesota, LAFC, Austin, FCC, LA Galaxy, and Portland. The only other game I didn't mention was DC. That schedule is brutal to end the year. And I do not think this team, in the form that they're in and the quality that they have, is making the playoffs. I think that schedule is too rough for them to make the playoffs. I think they've overperformed. They haven't really scored a lot of goals this season. They've been relying on the defense. I don't, and I don't think they did enough in this window to like save their playoff chances. They brought in like, I agree that Diego Luna is a great signing, definitely one for the future. I don't Musovsky, Oviedo, Jefferson Savarino. I just don't think these are guys that are going to save their chances at the playoffs. Um,
Who do you think is going to fill in Seattle, Portland, are the only two I can see doing that. I don't think Vancouver pushes for that. I don't think Colorado. We just talked about Colorado now.
All you need is one of them to do it. One of Seattle or Portland.
Well, you also need
Even
Nashville
one of
and LAFC
Vancouver.
to jump them.
Which say?
You also need Nashville and LA Galaxy to jump.
I think they can.
I think you're crazy.
I mean, did you hear their schedule? I mean, they're playing, well, for one, they're playing every team that's above them right now, 1 through 4, which are obviously not going to be easy games. Those teams are really good. Then they got to play a really massively important game against Galaxy. Another super important game against Portland. And I think there was a Seattle game in there. No Seattle, but they have FCC as well, who have been feisty this year. Not an easy win anymore. I really think this team, with the schedule they have remaining, is going to struggle big time to get into the playoffs or hold their playoff spot. And I will fully admit if I'm wrong, because I was completely wrong on them at the start of the season. I really thought this team was going to flop big time, and they've overperformed. And one last thing I do want to say on their window. Say what you want about David Ochoa. The fact that they sold him for as little as they did is a massive loss for them. I mean, his stock was very high at one point. Like,
what was the value?
I'd have to look. I'll double check. But he was making a huge name for himself at one point. And then it was just like, he just got cut out from the team completely this season. And his value plummeted. His stock at its highest was actually where they have it right now, 880,000 on transfer market. But still, they got what, 75K for him?
Did they? I don't know what the value was.
I'm pretty sure they got like pennies on the dollar for him. I just think like he was a young up and coming goalkeeper with a lot of potential, and they could have sold big on him and then still gone with McMath like they did. And instead they wasted it, and now they got nothing for it.
But the issue is, once he switched nationalities, his value plummeted. Who wants to take a Mexican?
His value plummeted when they decided not to play him anymore.
I think you are giving Mexico too much credit, which I don't like.
Okay, you're right.
Thank you.
It's all Mexico's fault.
Correct. Moving on to our